How many Snake Eyes can one G.I. Joe collector have? Apparently a lot, because here we have Desert Commando Snake Eyes. I've had this guy in a box for a while, but now that we have the Desert Scorpion is starting to show up at people's doorsteps, I figured now's the time to get our Desert Commando Snake Eyes out of the box so that Cobra doesn't have an easy victory. All right, so here he is out of the box. This is a bit of an amalgamation of two different styles of Snake Eyes. So one, we have the original, very retro-inspired Commando head on top, and then we have the more ninja-like G.I. Joe classified body. I think it looks really good, and I like the colors on this, to be honest. Like, even though we know Snake Eyes is either extremely, like stealthy with an all-black outfit, or extremely colorful with like a Ninja Force one, I think this works really well for him. Maybe other people don't like this version or like this look for Snake Eyes, but this feels like it could be like its own character. Like if they just put like a different head on him, I think we could have had maybe an original character, even though it is using a lot of part reuse from other versions of Snake Eyes. But let's get to his accessory kit because, well, he's got a lot of swords. This is one piece I miss of the windowless era, is these little lockers where you have all the weapons. Now, it didn't always work. Some of the weapons were super bent and stuff like that, but even the plastic bubble doesn't keep them straight sometimes. So, it's one of those things. You don't know exactly what's the best way of doing this. The tissue paper. I miss the tissue paper. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Here's one of his swords. Look at how useful that one looks like. Oh no, that is terrible. It should bend back all right, but yeah, like there's no good way of doing this. I think, again, the plastic bubbles are probably better. I don't know. There is an interesting detail where there's like this bronze on the back side of the sword. So when we put this in its sheath, which I think I'm going to do because, yikes. Oh, look at that. Well, that's not going to help things either. Look, the sheath is bent as well. All right, well, at least we don't have to worry about it, I guess, at this point. So we got that. We have another sword. This is a cool one. This one is not bent as poorly. It looks great in comparison. We have his Desert Uzi, which has some different areas of paint, which gives it like a nice little breakup. And then we have a belt, or a bandolier more so, of grenades. I like that they give you this as an option to put on or not. And we also have, oh no, we have a knife. Looks more like a pool noodle, the way that it's bent over. And we have a pistol with a suppressor, so we can be super stealthy in the desert region. So there we go. That's how that works. And does that work? That should also work on the Uzi as well. And then we have our backpack and a port for the sword. And just so that I can kind of see, curious, do I have to pop the head off to get this bandolier on? Just slide it on this way. All right, there we go. Look at that. There's always more than one way, so I just did his arm that way, and I should have kind of looked at the directionality a little better. So that makes him look very, very much like another Snake Eyes that I have up there. So I'm just gonna remove this. I don't really want this on him. I don't know what he would do with grenades in the desert. You probably want to move with as least gear as possible so that he's just not weighed down and, dying of thirst. We'll slot in the backpack. Let's see how well this slides in. That has a good, solid connection. That feels really good, and there's not a whole lot of gap between the back. That's something that I've noticed a lot of backpacks weren't necessarily matched perfectly to the G.I. Joe, but because this is Snake Eyes, I'm guessing he was one of the main templates for all this stuff. So we're also going to put his sword along the backpack because, even though you could get away with calling this like a different character, I don't think you could have a Snake Eyes style character or a ninja appearing character without a sword when it comes to G.I. Joe Classified. And so in light of that, we'll also gear him up with his sidearm and his suppressor. So the sidearm fits pretty loosely in there. I don't know if that's gonna slide out. Well, it's a pretty solid connection, which is good to see, so that we can store as much as possible on our character, that we're not worrying too much about where things go. The knife, the little bendy noodle, apparently. Let's get that in its sheath. And that's a change over time with Snake Eyes. Some of the knives never really fit in the sheath all that well, but here it works out. The sword doesn't fit in his hand all that well. It feels like a loose fit. Let's see if the other hand is any better. Much better on the other hand, because this other hand is ready for a bigger weapon, then yeah, the Uzi will fit in just fine. So there we go. There is our Desert Commando Snake Eyes. Some people might have issues with this. I don't. Yes, it is a character that we've seen multiple times in multiple different colors with multiple different configurations. But Snake Eyes is just a popular character when it comes to G.I. Joe. That's like saying you don't like Batman in a Batman toy line. And what I like about this one in particular is that if I were to remove the head, like I could make this like a different character, which I think is a cool element here. So yes, there are very undeniable Snake Eyes qualities to this character, but when it comes to like movement and posability and accessories and stuff like that, he's you know, he's doing all right for himself. Yeah, do we have maybe a few too many Snake Eyes? I can't argue with that, but when it's a good character and it moves well and it looks really well decorated, I can't be mad at that either. All right, so let's talk about what I like, what I don't like, things I could have possibly wanted to change with the Snake Eyes. Here we go. What do I like? I like the color scheme. While it's a different take on Snake Eyes, and we could argue all day about if being in the desert is the best possible scenario for Snake Eyes, if they're better suited G.I. Joes for that. But visually, cohesively, like it looks really good. There's this, you know, brown and sandy element to him, the bronze glasses, the bronze on the back of the extremely bent sword. It all goes well together. And yes, we've seen the parts before, but there's a reason that they work so well. Snake Eyes is just a really well-designed character. Now, things I don't like. One, the way that the weapons and accessories were extremely bent. You know, windowless packaging era thing aside, that is just wildly unacceptable to have a sword that is basically a U. That was wild. That was wild to pull out of the box and see. So don't like that. What I would have changed, and yes, I did talk about how I like how he visually comes together, but because this is a desert version of Snake Eyes, to see a slightly different head sculpt, I think would have been interesting and unique. I'm not talking about like an unmasked head sculpt. I think the Commando, like the retro Commando style Snake Eyes looks good, especially for a desert application, but I'm wondering if there was something extra that could have been added to it to give it a distinct flavor or a flair for the situation that he would encounter some combat in. Even a soft goods scarf or something that he could like wrap around his neck, or in case there was some sort of like sandstorm that would get kicked up. Yeah, he's wearing a mask. Yeah, he's wearing goggles, but that, I mean, there's G.I. Joes that were glasses and goggles on top of each other. That wouldn't have seemed out of place. That would have seemed actually like a really cool inclusion. And that's something I could probably do and find just like a little piece of fabric to wrap around so that he has like a scarf that would keep more sand out of his already masked face. I mean, I get how silly that sounds, but we're working with G.I. Joe, man. Now, this version of Snake Eyes you can still probably find in clearance, and I'm 100% I got this on clearance, but it's been so long I don't exactly remember. It's a worthwhile pickup if you don't already have a Snake Eyes, or maybe if you don't have enough Snake Eyes at this point, or if you would like an army builder and just pop a different head on top and just go with the overall style. And there's enough G.I. Joe guys with extra head sculpts, extra helmet sculpts, where I think we could find something that would go well on top of this if you didn't want just yet another Snake Eyes sitting on your shelf. This is one I'm not going to display quite yet until I get Desert Scorpion in, because then I can have Dusty and Desert Commando Snake Eyes against the whole Scorpion thing. So while I'm not displaying it right now, that's really a temporary thing. And also I'll just need to find some space on my shelf, which is quickly running out of room for the G.I. Joes in particular. Could you let me know, would you think there are enough Snake Eyes, or do we need to keep mixing and matching different Snake Eyes to different biomes? You know, he's a cool figure. He's not one of my favorite G.I. Joe figures, but I'm not gonna say no to a well-articulated, well-decorated figure like this Desert Commando Snake Eyes. And if you like our discussion on G.I. Joe, I talk about action figures, pop culture, collectibles, blasters, anything action related, which is, you know, great for G.I. Joe. You can stay tuned here at the RyFi channel, so you gotta hit that subscribe, get future videos for the RyFi channel. So that's all I know about Desert Commando Snake Eyes. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.